Hello everyone and welcome to this class where you're going to learn how to use ChatGPT from start to finish. For those of you who don't know, ChatGPT reached 1 million users in 5 days, so this is the next big thing in technology and you probably wouldn't want to miss out. As someone with a couple of websites and YouTube channels, I've been using ChatGPT to generate fresh ideas and new content. In fact, I've also used this tool as inspiration to create the introduction for this course. It doesn't matter if you've never used ChatGPT before, as we're going to cover everything step by step, from creating an account all the way up to using advanced techniques. So I'm going to share with you different tips, examples, and best practices. So hopefully I'll see you on the other side, and thanks for joining. First things first, we're going to open our browser of choice. So in this case, I'm going to use Firefox. And here in the search bar, I'm going to type ChatGPT, and I'm going to select the first option. This is the URL, openai.com, and this is the main window that's going to load up. So I can either come here to try ChatGPT or press here, try, which is the same thing. So we're going to click here, and we're either going to log in or sign up. And in this case, we're creating a new account, so we're going to click sign up. And as you can see, this says, please note that phone verification is required for sign up. So you need to have an email and a phone number. And you can either continue with a Microsoft account or a Google account or use another email address. So I'm going to write my email address here, and I'm going to create a password, and it must contain at least 8 characters. Once we've done that, we're going to click continue again. And as you can see, once that's done, I need to verify my email account. And as you can see, I can find the email here. I'm going to open it and I'm going to click verify email address. This shows up, so I'm going to click here. And now my email has been verified. I'm going to refresh the page. And now it's going to ask us for our first and last name, organization name optional, continue. And now they're going to ask for a phone number. You're going to get a code on your phone, and then you'll be able to finish the sign up process. So I'm going to show you what it looks like once you've verified your phone number. We're going to head to Google, type ChatGPT, select the first option, come here to try, and we're back here at the login window. And instead of sign up, we're going to choose login. We're going to type our email address or Microsoft account or Google account. In my case, I'm going to use my Microsoft account. And this is the main window of ChatGPT once you're logged in. Now we can move on to the next lesson where I'm going to show you how the interface works. Before starting to use ChatGPT itself, let me show you how things work. So here to the side, we have this button which says new chat. So obviously this would start a new chat. We can also come down here to upgrade to plus. So right now we're using the free version and ChatGPT is free for everyone, but you can upgrade to plus. So if you click here, you can see what's included with the free plan and also the advantages if you want to use ChatGPT plus. So in my case, if I paid $20 per month, I could use ChatGPT all the time. The response time would be faster, and I would also have priority access to new features. In my case, and for this example, I'm going to use the free plan, but if you wanted to upgrade, that's how you would do it. We can also toggle between the light mode and the dark mode. We can come here to the updates and frequently asked questions. You can come here and search for different articles, and you can also read these different articles and updates about the platform itself. So let's go back, and here we have a preview, so to speak, about the examples, capabilities, and limitations of ChatGPT. And we also have this bar here, which also starts a chat. So typing in something here or clicking here is exactly the same. So here in the first column, we have 3 different examples of things you can ask ChatGPT. So explain quantum computing, creative ideas for a 10-year-old's birthday, or how to make an HTTP request in JavaScript. So you could use these examples as a starting point to type something down here. Or if you're interested in quantum computing, you would simply click here and ChatGPT would start typing. These are some of the capabilities. So it remembers what users said earlier in the conversation, and I'm going to show you how that works in a bit. You can also provide corrections for the chat, and it's trained to decline inappropriate requests. So sometimes it has some errors, but usually if you ask ChatGPT for instructions in malicious content, it won't answer you. So that's great. And of course, some limitations. So it's telling you it occasionally generates incorrect information, which we're also going to talk about in a future lesson. And the most important one probably is this one here, limited knowledge of world and events after 2021. So if you're going to ask questions or you're writing a blog post for a news website, for example, on events that happened after 2021, ChatGPT either won't know the answer or it's going to provide you incorrect information. So just keep that in mind. Now that we've covered the basics, we're actually going to start using ChatGPT. So we can move on to the next lesson where you're going to see how this actually works and how to use different prompts. We're going to start giving some prompts to ChatGPT so you can see how it works. So obviously we can come down here to this bar and start typing, or we could also click here, new chat. I'm going to show you different examples, but for the first one, we're going to use this one here in the first column. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to click this arrow here. And as you can see, ChatGPT starts explaining quantum computing in simple terms. If you hover your mouse up here, this icon shows up. So I'm going to click here and I can either cancel and leave the response as it is, or I can come in and change my prompt. So instead of quantum computing, I'm going to type in quantum science in simple terms and save and submit. And ChatGPT is going to start explaining quantum science in simple terms instead of quantum computing. And it takes less than 15 seconds and it gives me a detailed 4-paragraph explanation in simple terms. If I'm not satisfied with the response, I can always come down here and click on regenerate response, and ChatGPT is going to give me a different explanation. Now, if I wanted to ask something else related to this question, I would come down here and start typing, or I could come up here and start a new chat. So I'm going to click here and begin a new chat. Let's say instead of using one of these examples, I want to give it my own prompt. So for this example, let's imagine you have a food blog and you want some content ideas for new blog posts. You could come to the bar and type in, give me 10 titles for a food blog post. And then you click on the arrow. And as you can see, in a matter of seconds, ChatGPT is going to show you 10 different potential titles for a food blog post. So actually, if you had a food blog, you could write an article for each and every one of these titles. But now I want to show you the true potential of ChatGPT. I could come down here and I'm still in the same conversation. And let's say I'm interested in creating an article for number 5. So how to make homemade pizza from scratch. I could come down here to the bar and tell ChatGPT to give me more details about number 5. Expand number 5. And as you can see, ChatGPT will give me an introduction, some ingredients, and also the full instructions on how to make homemade pizza from scratch. And now let me show you even more. So I could keep asking ChatGPT, and let's say you want to make homemade pizza, but instead of using these ingredients, we're going to tell ChatGPT, make it a vegan pizza. And now it's expanding version of title number 5, but this time for a vegan pizza. So in the previous list of ingredients, we had 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese and toppings like pepperoni or sausage. But if we come down here, we have 2 cups of shredded vegan cheese and there's no sausage. We have another ingredient like artichoke hearts and vegan pepperoni. You could keep asking ChatGPT things based on this conversation or give it a different prompt and start a new chat. If we come here to the left column, we can see that ChatGPT remembers the previous conversation, so quantum computing, and this conversation as well. If we want to erase these, we just have to come down here, click on clear conversations and confirm clear conversations. And we're going to start from scratch once again. Now, let me give you another example. I'm going to give ChatGPT a new prompt. In this case, give me a title for a storybook for kids. And ChatGPT gives me this title. Let's say I don't like it. I can come down here and regenerate response. And now it's changed the title to The Magical Adventures of Sparky and Friends. Let's imagine I do like this title. I'm going to come down here and type in, what is it about? And ChatGPT is going to tell me what the storybook is about. So it's a story about the adventures of a group of animal friends led by Sparky, which is a mischievous rabbit, and some of his friends. So an owl, a deer, a squirrel, and how they embark on a series of magical journeys through enchanted forests and soaring mountains, and so on and so forth. If you wanted to write a storybook for kids, you would already have the title and a small explanation about the storybook. Later on in another lesson, I'm going to show you how to expand on this story or any other kind of story or blog post, as well as other examples. Anybody can type, give me a title for a storybook for kids, and also what is it about. So now let's move on to the next lesson where I'm going to start to give you some tips to help you create content that's actually a bit different than what everybody else does. Let me show you the first tip. We already know what's the storybook about, but I can come down here and tell ChatGPT to write the first chapter of the storybook. I could simply come here to the arrow, click on it, and ChatGPT would start writing the first chapter of the storybook. So how can we make it a bit different and stand out from the rest? We can give it a more detailed prompt. We can tell ChatGPT to write the first chapter with a certain tone. It's obviously a storybook for kids, so it's not going to be too technical or too detailed. But in this case, I'm going to add the following to the prompt in an educational tone, and I'm going to click on the arrow, and ChatGPT is going to create the first chapter of the storybook. And whenever I want, I could click stop generating, or I could allow ChatGPT to keep on writing. And as you can see, in a matter of seconds, ChatGPT has created chapter 1 for my storybook for kids in an educational tone. You can pause the video and read it yourself if you want to, but let's take a look at the first paragraph. Sparky Rabbit woke up early one morning feeling especially curious. He hopped out of his cozy burrow and went outside to explore the world around him. He stumbled upon a strange and mysterious map lying on the ground, and then it goes on, and it's a full chapter. And of course, I could come down here and tell ChatGPT to write chapter 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. This is extremely powerful because I can write a whole storybook for kids in a matter of minutes using different prompts. And in this case, giving the text a certain tone to make it sound one way or another. Now let's try with a completely different topic. Let's come here and erase this and clear conversations. Confirm clear conversations. Come down here to the bar and try with a different example. Create a blog post about mac and cheese, and ChatGPT, as always, is going to start creating a blog post about this dish. I'm going to stop generating, and as you can see, it gives us an introduction and a brief history of mac and cheese, but I can come down here and ask ChatGPT to write a different blog post with the tone that I want. Create a blog post about mac and cheese in a satirical tone, for example. Let's click the arrow, and ChatGPT is actually creating a blog post in a satirical tone. So if we come here to the article and read it, let's take a look at the second paragraph. It says, first of all, let's talk about the origins of mac and cheese. According to some accounts, it was invented by an Italian chef in the 14th century. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I have a hard time trusting any food that's been around for that long. It's like eating a dinosaur, except instead of bones, you're consuming carbohydrates and cheese powder. Obviously, this is a joke, but ChatGPT actually understands the prompt and gives me a completely different blog post depending on the tone I've requested. Now let's move on to the next lesson, where I'm going to show you a different tip on how to create unique content. Now let me show you the second tip. Let's erase this whole conversation, clear conversations, confirm. And as usual, we're going to come down here to the bar and give a new prompt to ChatGPT. In this case, I'm going to tell ChatGPT to give me 5 titles for a YouTube channel about traveling. And these are 5 names for my YouTube channel about traveling. Now I can come down here to the bar again. And this is the second tip. I'm going to change the style. I'm going to tell ChatGPT to give me 10 video titles for this channel, but in a creative style. And ChatGPT will create 10 creative video titles for a travel channel. And the first one, for example, Lost in Translation, Navigating Japan's Language Barrier. Or the second one, Off the Beaten Path, Discovering Hidden Gems in Europe. Or number 4, Chasing Waterfalls, Exploring the Natural Beauty of Costa Rica. So as you can see, you can change the prompt by giving it a certain style. And ChatGPT will give you different responses, taking into account the style that you ask for. But we can also change the style once more and give it a more unique touch. And instead of creative video titles, we're going to tell ChatGPT, give me 10 video titles for this channel in a funny style. And ChatGPT will give us 10 different video titles. Instead of a creative style, a funny style. For example, at number 3, My Worst Travel Fail, The Time I Got Stuck in a Tiny European Bathroom. Or number 8, Lost Luggage, The Epic Journey of My Missing Suitcase. So obviously the style changes everything. And if we compare these 10 titles with these 10 titles, they're completely different. And now we can move on to the next lesson, where I'm going to show you more advanced prompts and different topics. But I'm going to explain everything in detail, and I'm going to show you how I use them to get the best results. Now let's take a look at some more advanced prompts. First, I'm going to tell ChatGPT the topic of the blog post. I'm also going to write down for which type of audience. Then I'm going to tell ChatGPT the exact content I want for that blog post. So in this case, how to plan a course, how to record the content, and how to market the course on social media for an audience of yoga teachers. And as we saw in a previous lesson, I'm also going to choose the writing style. And now I'm going to click the arrow here, and ChatGPT is going to start creating the blog post with all the instructions I've given it. Obviously, I can stop generating whenever I want to, but in this case, I'm going to let it finish writing the blog post. And as you can see, if we double check, we have an introduction. We also have a breakdown of the steps. So step 1 would be to plan the course and a couple of paragraphs explaining how to do that. Step 2 would be to record the content, and it's telling us to use our smartphone to get started or a camera, which obviously makes sense. It's also telling us that regardless of the method we choose, we have to make sure the audio and the video quality are good, which also makes sense and is true. And once again, it's taken into account what we wrote down. So step 3, market your course on social media. And to wrap things up, we have a conclusion paragraph here. So for this example, ChatGPT has created a full blog post following all the instructions in less than 1 minute. And of course, you can come up here and rewrite your prompt and add as many colons as you want. If you want content that's different to everything out there and stands out, the more specific, the better. Now let's try with a new prompt. We can clear these conversations here, come down here to the bar. In this case, let's say we want to write a blog post about how to grow a YouTube channel. We're going to tell it to write a blog post on the above topic. And now we're going to be more specific and use an advanced prompt by telling ChatGPT to use H2 tags to ask questions and also to give examples. And we're going to click here on the arrow, and ChatGPT is going to start to write our blog post following the instructions of the prompt. Now we can take a look at the blog post that ChatGPT has written. So we have an H2 here, how to grow a YouTube channel, tips and strategies. So this will be the title. We have an introduction paragraph here, and we have 6 different paragraphs explaining how to grow a YouTube channel. Remember, we told ChatGPT to ask questions. So here, for example, we have, what is your niche? Who are your ideal viewers? What topics are you going to cover in your videos? And we also told ChatGPT to give examples for the topic. In this case, in paragraph 3, we have examples like use tools like Google Trends, Keyword Planner, and TubeBuddy to research keywords and optimize your videos for search. And I'm a YouTuber myself. I own and manage 3 different YouTube channels, and I've actually used Google Trends, Keyword Planner, and TubeBuddy to create content for my YouTube channels. So this is true, and it actually makes sense. So it's a great example. Also, if we take a look at number 4, promote your channel on social media, it's telling you to share your videos on social media channels such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And this obviously is common sense, but ChatGPT is doing what we told it to. It's giving us examples on how to promote your channel on social media. So once again, if you want to change this, you can come up here and rewrite the prompt, or simply clear the conversation, or you could also regenerate the response if you don't like the content, or come down here to the bar and, for example, tell ChatGPT, rewrite number 6 in very simple terms. And ChatGPT would do exactly that. Instead of using more complicated words like CTA, call to action, or prompt viewers to like, comment, and share your videos, now we have a new paragraph with very simple terms like don't forget to hit the like button, or tell me in the comments what you think. So as you can see, the possibilities are almost endless. And now we can move on to the next lessons, where I'm going to show you even more prompts for different purposes. Now let me show you more examples of what ChatGPT can do for you. In this case, let's say you want to apply for a new job, but you're not quite sure how to write a cover letter. So we're going to write down the following prompt. First, we're going to tell ChatGPT to write a professional cover letter for a product manager position at a company called Alphabet. Obviously, you can change the position to whatever you want, and the name of the company doesn't have to be Alphabet either. But the prompt doesn't end there, so we're also going to write our name, and we're going to say we know all the basics required for the job. And then we're going to click the arrow as usual, and as you can see, ChatGPT is writing a cover letter for us in less than a minute. We have an introduction stating we are interested in the product manager position at the company. There's also a second and third paragraph explaining why we are suited for the job. And in the fourth paragraph, there's a brief response to the common question, what can you bring to the company? To finish it off, it says, I would welcome the opportunity to discuss my qualifications further and learn more about the product manager role at Alphabet. I believe this is the proper way to close a cover letter. Not only you're showing interest in the product manager role, but you're also letting them know there's more to your qualifications, and you can demonstrate this if there's an interview. Now let me show you a different example. As I said before, I have a couple of YouTube channels. So in this case, I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me write the outline or the script for one of my YouTube videos. So first, as always, I'm going to come down here to the bar and I'm going to type, give me 5 video titles for a YouTube channel that reviews photography and video related gear. And I'm going to click the arrow here, and ChatGPT gives me 5 potential video titles. So in my case, if I wanted to use number 5 as an example, I would come down here and tell ChatGPT to give me a hand with the outline or the script of the video. Write the script for number 5, which is a comparison between the Sony a7S III and the Canon EOS R5. These are two high-end cameras that are very popular amongst YouTubers and amateur filmmakers. So we're going to get a script for a video comparing these two. As always, I'm going to click the arrow here and let ChatGPT do its magic. And once again, ChatGPT starts writing down the script for the video. It even tells you to create the intro with some music. It also shows when I'm supposed to start talking. It's telling the viewer that this is a comparison between both cameras. It also tells you when to cut and introduce some B-roll. Then it's giving some specs of the first camera, some specs of the second camera. Then it's explaining a bit of the pros and cons of each camera. It asks a legitimate question that many YouTubers ask their viewers. And it has a nice touch because it's telling the viewer that it really depends on their needs. And it's telling me to say what every other YouTuber says, which is quite clever. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more gear reviews. So as you can see, ChatGPT has many uses and is extremely powerful. But now you can move on to the next lesson where I'm going to show you what I believe are the best practices and what works for me. The first tip is don't copy and paste everything. ChatGPT has reached 100 million users in 2 months. So unless your prompt is hyper specific and nobody else on the planet writes the same prompt as you, there's a possibility that you get very similar results to other people. So my recommendation is use ChatGPT as a baseline or as inspiration. If you're writing something, maybe copy and paste the first paragraph or paragraph 2 and the last paragraph, or you can also copy the whole answer, paste it to another word editor, and then change things into your own words, change some sentences, change the writing style or the tone. Of course, you can ask ChatGPT to create 5 video titles for your YouTube channel and use them. While I do use ChatGPT to get video title ideas or content ideas for my blog post, I don't copy and paste everything word by word. And now when it comes to the second tip or the second best practice, please make sure that you double check everything. Although in the majority of cases the answers are great or good enough, sometimes they're not. One of the uses for ChatGPT is writing code. ChatGPT isn't a software developer, it's not a human. It's based in artificial intelligence and it gets data and feedback from many different users, but that doesn't mean it's always right. So if you're going to use this tool to write a code for your website, always double check and make sure it's actually right. And my third and last tip, or the third best practice, is to try to be as specific as possible. We've already seen some examples in the previous lessons. As I've shown you before, if you're writing for a food blog, instead of just asking ChatGPT to write a recipe for a pizza and that's it, ask for something more specific and narrow it down so you can get better results. And now let's move on to the last lesson of this course. Before finishing this class, just a quick reminder, if you check out my profile on Skillshare, you're going to find more classes on video editing, photo editing, and other topics like content creation. So if you're interested in website design or thumbnail creation, or YouTube SEO, please feel free to follow me as I will be uploading more classes soon. Thank you very much for watching this class and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.